Let's welcome to the CJU stage Account Director, CJ Influence, Bree Rodriguez.
Hi, my name is Bree Rodriguez, and I'm an account director on the CJ Influence team. I oversee a portfolio of CJ's advertiser influencer campaigns, and I drive strategies and solutions for a wide variety of influencer programs. So this is actually my 1-year anniversary at CJ, so to introduce a little bit about myself, I have been working on national brands, social content, and influencer programs for over 8 years. Before coming to CJ, I actually spent a lot of my career in the CPG and food marketing space specifically. Fun fact, I have run social and influencer for more than one potato and french fry brand. So find me afterwards and ask me literally anything about potatoes. I probably know it. I like to say that I've had a front row seat to the evolution of influencer marketing throughout my career. I can remember back in 2017, the very first influencer partnership that I contracted. And I say contracted, but really in 2017, it was still the wild, wild west of influencer, where deals were made in DMs, and the idea of a social media account having an agent for brand collaborations was years away from becoming the standard practice. And before I bring my panelists out here, I want to talk a little bit more about that evolution of influencer strategies. When you think of an influencer partnership, it's likely you're thinking of a traditional brand awareness campaign, where you identify an influencer who's on trend and has a sizable audience. You work with them on a product endorsement to get your brand in front of their audience. Macro influencers can be great at this. We can probably all think of a brand that we've seen rise in relevancy over the last couple of years, seemingly out of thin air. It's probably because they went viral on social. But if this is the only way you're thinking about the role that influencers can play in your marketing mix, you may be missing out on a lot of power that these messengers can bring. So rather than thinking of it as a tactic or a lever you can pull, I want to challenge everyone here today to start thinking about influencer marketing as a full channel within itself. So when you start to zoom out and think about all the different ways that creator content can influence your customer in their discovery, consideration, and purchasing journey, you go from having isolated influencer blasts to having a full ecosystem that builds upon itself over time and can fuel other spokes in your marketing wheel. So think about it. Of course, influencers can introduce your brand to new audiences, but they can also create content that you can use in your own channels. They can drive traffic to your site with qualified customers that you can bring into your targeting pools and your email lists. They can, of course, influence a sale right in the moment, but they can also keep your brand top of mind for repeat purchases. So when you bring influencers into your always-on tactics, it makes a world of difference. And you can start to build relationships with them and turn them into true brand ambassadors. So that sounds great, but how do you do it? And that's where data comes in, and everyone here knows we love data at CJ. So if you've worked on an influencer campaign, you're probably aware of some of the fragmentation of data that exists in the industry. You might have access to social metrics or hopefully some performance metrics, but it's rare to be able to see a holistic view of performance across the campaign. At CJ, we're closing that gap in a big way by layering on performance technology to traditional social metrics so that you can truly get a sense of the impact from end to end. And having the right kind of data is essential to being able to execute an influencer campaign that meets your brand's objectives. So what I'm saying is going from a vibes-based influencer approach to a data-backed influencer approach can make a world of difference. And what we're seeing at CJ is advertisers who really embrace this test and learn mentality and take a long game approach to their influencer marketing strategies. They're seeing huge momentum over time and efficiencies in their results. And I want to talk about 3 brands that have worked with CJ Influence in the last year to see just that. First, we have Avon. They came to us with a brand awareness objective and a real need to be able to scale their influencer partnership capabilities in a big way with a very lean internal team. They wanted to be able to engage with the next generation of Avon customers, and they needed real people to bring their product to life. So to date, we are on track to deliver 275 unique pieces of content this year, which is not only going on influencers' channels as sponsored content, but also that the brand is using in their own channels, in their organic and paid strategies. So not only do they now have a steady stream of original content coming in every single month, but we've also been able to lower their campaign CPMs by more than 65%. Next, meal kit service brand Blue Apron. They wanted to leverage influencers to drive more traffic to their site that they could then nurture into subscriptions. We partnered with a mix of influencers across niches, various follower sizes, and tested a variety of linking strategies to ultimately exceed their traffic goal by 160% in the first year. Through sustained investment with those top-performing partners, we're now seeing double-digit increases every single quarter in their program despite fluctuations in spend. And then last but not least, eyewear brand Ray-Ban. Their affiliate marketing team wanted to test into influencer and had a pretty ambitious $3 ROAS goal. We wanted to make the most of their budget, so we worked with on-trend micro-influencers and amplified their content to paid audiences well outside of their following. Ultimately, by the end of our second campaign, we blew that goal out of the water with a $7 return on ad spend, and now we have a growing community of ambassadors that are ready to activate at a moment's notice for the brand. So hopefully you can start to see so many different ways that influencers can bring value to your brand, maybe opening your eyes a little bit. But enough for me. We have a panel of experienced social media advertisers here with us today, some of which were directly involved with the results that I've just shared with you. So let's bring them up. Welcome, everyone. With me here today, we have Gigi Gomez. She is the Social Media Associate Manager at Avon. We have Martina Vignolini. She is the Global Affiliate Marketing Senior Manager at EssilorLuxottica, who is the brand that owns Ray-Ban. And we have Stefania Bresson, who's the Team Lead Affiliate at MyTheresa, a luxury goods brand.
Hi, good afternoon.
Great, well, thank you for being here. To kick us off and to help us all get a little sense of the work you do and to get to know you, I'd love to hear from everyone here. What has been the influencer campaign or partnership that you've most enjoyed working on?
Ooh. I'll go first. For me, it was at Avon. We were being tagged in a bunch of posts on social from a specific influencer who's really known for her ASMR content. And in these posts, she was dressed up as a vintage Avon lady, showing her vintage Avon collection that she actually collects, which is so fascinating. So when I was doing a little more research, I saw that her audience absolutely adores her. They love her. So for us, it was a no-brainer to work with her at a paid capacity. So, once everything was live, oh my gosh, the audience reaction to everything, it was remarkable. It was seriously something that I had never seen in my career before. There was so much love, and literally people were saying, like, thank you for finally working with her, thank you for paying her, and it was so hilarious, but so great to see. And I think at Avon, that's something that we're really big on, is really looking out for those influencers and creators who are talking about us organically, because the response is going to be so much different when you partner up with someone who's kind of random. But yeah, for me, it was the vintage Avon lady.
I love that. You really can't be a genuine, authentic endorsement and love for a brand. There's nothing like it.
For me, probably, I would say the last campaign that we ran with Ray-Ban for promoting a new category of sunglasses, Pulse, which is a category of sunglasses mainly focused on Gen Z. So it was super interesting to deep dive in this new way to communicate to the youngest people, to see which kind of content is working better for people with an age which is much lower than usual customers for Ray-Ban. So that was maybe the most interesting one for me.
Yeah, there was some really creative content that came out of that. Those are really fun frames. I love that.
Yeah, so I'm not going to mention any specific campaign or partnership just because we have too many. So it will be difficult to pick. But I'm going to mention a collaboration format that has been very successful for us, which combine online and offline activations. And we call them in the team styling suites. So that's how it works. So we, at the beginning of each fashion season, so normally autumn, winter, and spring, summer, we rent a beautiful luxury suite in a renowned fashion city. So Milan, Paris, we even did it in Hong Kong once. And we fill it with clothes, like the latest new arrivals straight from the runway. And we invite influencers to come, of course, a selected pool of influencers, normally the top performing, and also some new talents, since we are always testing out new profiles. And we brief them very clearly on what we expect from them. So we want them to be super active, try on as many clothes as possible, create a lot of, take pictures, make videos that they have to post real time and also afterwards. And obviously, they have to use affiliate links so that everything can be trackable and they can make, of course, money out of it. And and through the shared content, also the followers can have a glance at the MyTheresa world and also aspire to become a customer too. And funny coincidence, today we have hosted our recent styling suite in London. So 2 of our team members were there, and we had around 20 influencers attending.
Wow. Yeah, an in-person event like that can really be a special moment for authentic content as well. I love that. Great. Well, one thing I talked about a little bit in my introduction was just the benefits that we're seeing at CJ of a long-term relationship strategy with influencers. But it can be difficult for a brand to really take that leap and trust in a long game approach. But Martina, I know that we've kind of taken that approach together at Ray-Ban. Could you share a little bit about your experience testing influencer and what that's been like?
Sure. Basically, we started some years ago with Ray-Ban with an assumption that all companies are working with influencers, are in advocacy, but it's very difficult to find, it was very difficult in the past at least, to find someone who was able to work with influencer only with a specific performance approach. And so our aim was to build an influencer activation and at the same time not only generating awareness but also to drive sales and especially to being able to measure the sales that we were generated. So we started a cooperation with CJ Influence for Ray-Ban with a test. So we decided to activate a very small pool of micro-influencers and to communicate a specific category of products to a very loyal and niche audience. So that was a test that was started with an organic activation of content with different creators. And then it was supported by a performance approach that was basically a paid social amplification campaign on the content that were exceeding the KPIs benchmarks. So being able to see the the results from impression to the assisted sales was permitting us to have an holistic view, as you were mentioning at the beginning in your speech, and to understand which creator was more in line with the tone of voice of the brand, which content was working better. For example, what we discovered, something very simple and easy, but that the content that were performing better were the ones where the creator was building a story while wearing our sunglasses. And so we decided to activate a second campaign using some influencers that were performing very well in the previous one, and then adding new creators, but that was much easier to choose them based on their target audience, and also to give them more precise indication regarding the creative assets that we needed and so on. So basically, the test and learn approach was the success for us, and the long-term relationship, I think, is really a great advantage, because from one end is engaging much more the influencer, because they are dedicating more time and energy in building content for us. On the other end is also earning credibility across their products to their target audience, because the audience can see the influencer that is wearing sunglasses in different moments of his life and forward in time. So I think this kind of test and learn and long-term relationship is really the key of our success.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I can jump in, so I totally agree with this approach of, like having long-term investments where ROI targets might not be met at the first stage, at least not how we are used to with other publishers' models, because there is this, test and learn phase at the beginning where you need to understand what is the type of influencer that, or social media platform even that works for you. So when I started 10 years ago at MyTheresa, I'm also celebrated my 10th anniversary this year.
Wow.
Yes.
Nice.
Thank you. So influencer marketing was not a relevant channel at all. And 10 years later, we have built a strong foundation of always on organic content. And with organic, I mean CPA-based only, which allows us now to top up with some fixed fees for like extra exposure, or even the styling suites that we are doing, which are not that cheap, as you can imagine. I'm not saying that it took us 10 years. I'm not saying that it's gonna take you 10 years, but it takes for sure some time to create.
Yeah, absolutely. Just having that mentality of the payoff and the momentum and giving it time to build makes all the difference.
Yes.
So I know in the context here, CJ, we think of performance marketing, and of course, influencers can certainly help with revenue goals, but as we talked about, there's also so many different solutions that are needed throughout the digital pipeline where influencers can really help find solutions for it. Gigi, I know at Avon, you're a brand with such a rich legacy and kind of moving towards a little more of an e-commerce model. How do you view the role of influencers for your brand in your current objectives?
Yeah, so at Avon, we really understand the importance of staying up to date with the latest trends in the beauty industry, especially like you said, we are shifting focus to be more on e-commerce, and influencers play such a vital role in that marketing strategy, by really helping us enhance that brand awareness, but also to connect us with people that maybe we wouldn't have been able to otherwise. When we connect and partner with these influencers and creators that both of our communities already love and trust, I like to say it builds this kind of unique and special connection that really resonates. I mean, we saw that with the vintage Avon lady. And we really hope that creates like this sort of feeling of credibility, but also a sense of curiosity. Like, hey, what's going on at Avon? Like, let me check their social media, let me check their website. Maybe they haven't seen this product in a while, or maybe they didn't know that we sold this product. So it's really important, especially when you're looking at the data that we're seeing on our end, with the age range that we're seeing, it's anywhere from like people in their 30s all the way through 75 plus. So that's a huge range to cover, and I think influencers are like that puzzle piece that fits it and works. But even with our product launches, you know, our community is really made up of our amazing, dedicated ambassadors. So in order to kind of get out of that circle, we're using influencers to really maximize those product launches. Listen, influencers are so important. So if you're not on it, get on it.
I can second that.
Yeah.
Thank you. So if you've never run an influencer campaign or tried to cast for an influencer campaign, you may not realize how challenging it can be to even find the right messengers for your brand. Advertisers come to us all the time wanting strategies for finding the right creators, and it can be difficult to know where to start with such an ever-growing marketplace. Stefania, I know that at MyTheresa you are working with luxury goods. What kind of challenges do you face in finding the right people to work with?
Yeah, so for sure finding the influencers whose audience is able to convert or has an audience that we are looking for. So we have very high AOVs, I think among the highest in the luxury vertical, so over 500 USD. So it's difficult to find this type of consumers. That's why we invest time and effort in the casting phase, where we not only look at the influencers from an aesthetics perspective, but also try to understand if their audience is also able to convert. And we rely on historical data and on insights of the influencer networks that we work with. And we also have some internal influencer discovery tools or analytical tools. And once the influencer have become active and then also proactive, so generating sales, we will look at the performance based on different KPIs. So what type of customers have they brought in? Is it like a new customer or an existing customer? Have the customer purchased full price or sale? What categories have they purchased into? You know, what designers have they purchased? So we really need this transparency of data to understand if that's the right influencer that we want to keep working. And also the educational aspect, because not all the influencers work on a CPA basis. So it's about making them understand that if it's done right, it can be a good and steady source of revenue for them.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's huge. Bringing people into your model and understanding that long game approach is
Correct.
There's a benefit over time by partnering closely. This is really open to anyone, but speaking of data, what are some of the common challenges that you have in having the right kind of data to measure your campaigns effectively, or now or in the past, either way?
Well, for us, at the very beginning, when we started working with Ray-Ban, we were only able to see impression, reach, engagement, and so it was very tough to understand for us if the campaign was really performing, also in terms of conversions. So adding the paid social amplification boost was giving us the possibility to measure also what's happening in the lowest part of the funnel, and to see if a specific content was really giving a boost to our performance, to our revenue of the e-commerce. And of course, the revenue were not the same that we saw in our own analytics tool. They were assisted revenue because they were seen from the business manager of Meta, of the influencer, but they were giving the possibility to associate a return on investment to every single campaign that we were making. And that was crucial from a financial standpoint, because it was justifying us to ask for more budget for a new campaign internally. And so that was very, very important for us. It was a challenge at the very beginning, but then finding this way of working was giving the opportunity to see a 360-degree view of the results of the campaign.
Sure, yeah. You mentioned something that I think a lot of marketers can probably relate to, is needing to have the right data to inform future investment and make that case, especially in a kind of emerging space like influencer. That's huge. Yeah, anyone else have thoughts about data?
Yeah, so
measurement?
since you're talking about challenges, so
Yeah.
for us, sometimes getting granular data from some of the affiliate networks that we work with is not easy. Whereas, as I said before, it's key for us to make informed decisions. And I feel that so much has improved from a tracking perspective. So server-to-server tracking, and now we can track and attribute also in-app sales. So a lot has happened to go toward a higher transparency between advertisers and publishers. So even the newest publisher models, like influencer marketing, should also develop, in my opinion, towards being able to deliver this granular data to the advertisers, so that also the goals are aligned. But that's definitely a big challenge for us.
Mm-hmm. Great. Well, I know we have just about 5 minutes left, but on a closing note, you mentioned we've come a long way with the kind of data that we have available to measure influencer campaigns, but it's not completely transparent yet. There's still some way to go. If you could wave your magic wand and make one insight available to you for every campaign, realistic or not, what would it be? Would love to hear from anyone here.
For me, if I were to make it all about Avon, I would definitely love a tool, if anyone wants to make this somehow, I would love a tool that would allow me to see which influencers has the most amount of followers that have had a connection with Avon, whether that have been their mom was an Avon lady, or maybe their grandma was, or maybe they know of Skin So Soft, anything like that, because I think nostalgia is here to stay, and people really love that. And if I can maximize on that and use it, I want to. So if anyone's out there, please figure that out.
I would love to see, if possible, the authentic audience engagement, So not only having an understanding of all the interactions, but a deep dive on their quality and relevance. Because if you think that in the Middle Ages, a person was exposed by, I think, maximum 40 images in his life. Meanwhile, today, every person is exposed by up to 10K images or video per day. So it's something huge, and having the chance to understand the authentic value of each interaction would give us an enormous advantage, because would permit us to target the right audience with the right message, to create better connection with people, so with the client, the client that we could have inside the target audience of the publisher, and also to optimize better the campaigns based on the real performances.
Sure, definitely.
For me, also a tool like Gigi that could forecast the revenue from each single influencer campaign. I think it would be amazing and would make our life much easier and less risky.
That would be incredible. Talk about a magic ball. Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us. This has been super enlightening. Hopefully everyone's learned something today. Thank you.
Thank you.